Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to be looking at how the data is structured within the GA4 BigQuery export. Understanding how the data is structured will really help you out further down the line as you start to explore and build out your own queries. We're going to be using one of the sample datasets today, so if you're not sure how to access that, check out my other video and then come back after that. Here on the left, you can see we have our project, Firebase Public Project. Under that, we have our dataset, which is named analytics followed by a string of numbers. And then under that, we have our events table. Each day, GA4 will export a new events table containing all the data for the previous day. Rather than having all those tables listed out separately here in BigQuery, you'll instead just see one named events underscore, and the number in brackets will indicate how many tables have been exported. If you've enabled the streaming export, you'll see another table listed here called Events Intraday. You should generally only see one of these because each day the table will be deleted and replaced with a new table for the current day. Similarly, if you've enabled the user export, you'll see another table here named pseudonymous users. And if your GA4 property is collecting user IDs, you'll see another table named users. So let's open up this events table. You'll see that the most recently exported table has been opened up here. Because I'm working with a sample dataset, it is an old dataset, so there hasn't been anything exported since 2018. You'll see we've got a drop-down menu here, so if we click that, we can then select other daily tables we might want to look at. Underneath, you'll see the table schema. This lists out all of the fields, their data types, and their mode. Most of these are pretty straightforward. We've got the event date, which is a string, the event timestamp, an integer, the event name is a string, and so on. But it's also worth introducing you to the concept of records and repeated fields. You can think of a record as a field with additional fields nested inside it. So if I scroll down here to geo, you'll see within that geo field we have a continent value, a country value, a region value, and so on. Querying these fields is very straightforward. We'll just use dot notation. So to access the city, we would just type geo.city. We also have this concept of repeated fields. This is just a field that can contain multiple rows nested all inside one row. So if you think of an e-commerce purchase, for example, you could have multiple items within that one event. So each of these would appear as an individual row within the parent row of the purchase event. The event params is a repeated field because you can collect multiple event parameters with each event. I've switched over to the other sample dataset now so that I can show you how some of this data looks in practice. I've got a query written out here already, which is simply going to extract 10 records where the event name is add to cart and the e-commerce unique items count is greater than 1. Let's run this and see what is returned. You can see here our event name is add to cart. We've got other fields such as the event date, the event timestamp, and here we have the event params field. I've scrolled over now to the event params field. You'll see here that we have one row of data, but within that one row, we have multiple event parameters. We've got the session engaged parameter, the engagement time, the page title, the page referrer, page location, and so on. You'll see that the parameter key appears here in one field and the value in another. Notice actually how some of the values are in this field and others are in this field. If the value is a string, it will be stored in the string value field. If it's an integer, it will be in the int value. And if it's a float, a decimal value, it will be in the float value field. I've scrolled over now to the items field. Note again how we have one row, but within that we've got multiple rows of data. Again, we have multiple columns all contained within that one. So we've got the items.item ID, the items.item name, and so on. Querying these repeated record fields is a little different than what you might be used to from other databases, but once you're familiar with it, you'll see it is pretty straightforward. And if you want to find out more, check out subsequent tutorials. For more information about the export schemas, head over to the website and select GA4 export schemas here at the top. And you'll see we've got information on all the different fields there, whether it's event fields, user fields, device fields, etc. Come back next time where we'll start exploring the event data in more detail. See you then.